What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our college football channel. I wanted to take a look at the Cincinnati Bearcats FPI ranking as we take a look at some of the more intriguing rankings that we have seen so far in the FPI, like, for example, Iowa State being a top 4 team, Mississippi State being a top 10 team. There are definitely some things that jump out. And Cincinnati is one of those things. Cincinnati, in my opinion, is a top 10 team. They are one of the better teams in college football going into this season. But the FBI, not quite as high on them, as they have them ranked at number 27. Outside of the top 25, they have a 10.6 FBI ranking. That means against an average team on a neutral field, they would win by 10.6 points. Now, the FBI really just does not like the group of 5. In fact, Cincinnati is the highest ranked group of 5 team in the FBI at number 27. So they don't have any group of 5 teams at number 27, in the top 25. Cincinnati, two spots out there at number 27. Coastal Carolina is the next group of 5 team. They're at number 35, and then Tulane at 36 in the American Conference. We're going to touch on them in just a second, but again, FBI just does not like the group of 5 teams. So if you're ranked this low in the FBI, what does that mean? Where should you really be ranked? You know, I think you can take that and say that Cincinnati probably, maybe there's like a 15-point add-on that you should put on there or something like that. So this is a top 15 team, I think. It's hard to imagine anyone ranking Cincinnati outside of the top 15. I think they're a top 10 team with everything they have coming back. But again, they are at number 27. Their projected record is 9.7 and 3.0. So 9-3, 10-3, including an American Conference championship game. That means they have roughly a 70% chance to be in the top 2 to go to the conference championship. We don't have that exact number, but they are expecting them to lose 2 or 3 games this year. But they do play. Remember, they play Indiana and Notre Dame in the non-conference. So they could be saying, they're probably going to lose those 2 games, maybe lose a conference game. I could see 3 losses for Cincinnati. It's not a stretch. I kind of think 2 losses is probably about as bad as it gets for them. But yeah, I could see 3 losses. So 9-3 potentially, maybe 10-3 with a conference championship win, or maybe they lose the conference championship game. Maybe they lose 2 losses in the regular season. They had 2 losses in the regular season and then a 3rd loss in the conference championship game. A lot of different ways it could go. But that's where the FBI has their projected record. They give them a 1.5% chance to go undefeated, which is not horrible when, again, you've got Indiana and Notre Dame on the schedule. 1.5% chance to beat both of them, plus everyone in the American. We know the American is a very tough conference. I think it's clearly the best group of 5 conference out there. So 1.5% chance is not horrible, especially when you look at some of the other teams. For example, Oregon, they're at 1.2% chance. So Cincinnati has a better chance to go undefeated than Oregon does. Of course, Oregon does play Ohio State, but a 1.5% chance to go undefeated, a 99.7% chance to at least get to a bowl game, at least get to 6 wins. I think everyone would agree with that. This team is right there, almost guaranteed to get to a bowl game. And we don't have the division percentage because they don't have divisions in the American. They do like the Big 12, so nothing there. But they have a 51.3% chance to win the American Conference. So more than a 50% chance to win the conference. I'm going to give you some of the other top contenders in the conference in just a second, just to kind of compare there. But if you're taking Cincinnati versus the field, they would say take Cincinnati. And I tend to agree with that. I think there are other teams like UCF that could maybe challenge, but Cincinnati is the clear favorite. I mean, this is a legit team this year, a legit team that I think could be in that playoff conversation. If they were to go undefeated, they have them at a 1.2% chance to make the college football playoff, which I find to be interesting because when you look at the 1.5 for undefeated, 1.2 to go to the playoff, that would mean that there is a 0.3% chance that Cincinnati would go undefeated, beat Indiana, beat Notre Dame, beat everyone on their schedule, a 0.3% chance that they would go undefeated and not make it to the college football playoff. That is, I guess it could happen, but to me, this Cincinnati team with the schedule that they have, if they go undefeated, I think they're in the playoff. Now, there are some factors that could go into that. Notre Dame and Indiana could both wind up being not very good. We could see 4 undefeated Power 5 teams. I think that would keep Cincinnati out. But I think for the most part, if this team goes undefeated, they're almost guaranteed a spot. And again, the percentages here would say that more than likely they would get in the playoff if they were to go undefeated. A 0.3% chance to make it to the national championship, so not much of a chance there. But again, we compare it to a team like Miami. Miami has a 0.3% chance. LSU only has a 0.2% chance. So 0.3 is not horrible. I mean, it's obviously not very likely, but it's not horrible. And then a 0.1% chance to win the national championship, to win it all. That's the same as Iowa. That's the same as Texas Tech. That's the same as TCU. So interesting numbers there. Actually, I read those numbers wrong. Those teams had a 0% chance. Miami, same thing as Miami, 0.1% chance. LSU, 0.1% chance. So they're a contender, a dark horse type team like an LSU, like a Miami. But they are, according to the FBI, they're really not one of the favorites at all. And again, they have them ranked outside of the top 25, which I completely disagree with. So where does this stack up in the American Conference? I'm just going to read you off some numbers. Tulane is at 36, Memphis 43rd, Houston 66, Tulsa 67, UCF is at 70, number 70, which is a big surprise to me. I don't really understand that one. But to win the conference, and by the way, they're the only team in the American Conference that has any percent chance to make the college football playoff. Every other team is at 0. They do have that percentage, I think, because of their schedule. But to win the American, they're at 51.3%. Tulane is at 18.9%. Memphis is at 16.9%. Houston 5.2%. Tulsa 3.6%. And again, UCF all the way down at 3.3%. And then SMU at 0.4%. So I don't agree at all with what the FBI is doing here at the American Conference. I do agree with them that Cincinnati is the front runner, but I don't really agree with where those other teams rank. I mean, it just doesn't make much sense to me. UCF, in my opinion, is the second best team in this conference. And I'll be honest, I haven't spent a lot of time on this conference. I really haven't looked into Tulane to see what they have coming back. I'm going to now because seeing that number so high, seeing them as potentially being the second best team in this conference, that does pique my interest. It makes me wonder, what is it about Tulane? Why is this a team that could maybe make some noise? So we'll probably talk about Tulane a little bit later. But as far as Cincinnati goes, this is a team that's probably going to lose 2 or 3 games according to the FBI. But they're going to win their conference. They're going to be, if they finish with 3 regular season losses, they're probably not going to be in the top 25. They're probably going to be ranked around where the FBI has them, around number 27. So all this is very interesting, but again, I think they missed the mark with this team. This is a top 10 team and a team that could be really dangerous, could be a team that could crash the playoff party for the first time from the group of 5 if they're able to go undefeated. What do you guys think? Do you agree or disagree with this ranking? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Thank you for watching this video, and stay tuned for more here on the SG1 Sports College Football Channel.